Good morning, traders. Welcome to Vic here from DW Trader, and we're going to look at the weekly outlook and setups. We're going to look through a few pairs. We're going to start off with pound dollar, see what the high time frame is telling us, and then take it from there. So, before we go any further, let's have that intro. I got a lot of messages for and requests for Black Friday specials. So I will put up the code up here, somewhere up here. So let's see, the code should appear somewhere over here, the code, and then that is the code that you can use for Black Friday discounts. So apply that code and you could get some discounts on the course content. Link in the description below as well. Guys, let's have a look at pound dollar. So this is the daily, and we're just going to mark out a few things. We have this low over here. We kind of broke through it, and then we saw the reaction coming back towards the upsides. But we also had a more intermediate low over there, and we did take the liquidity below it, and then started seeing a reaction towards the upside. Friday was an interesting day. We had a push towards the downside, but we failed to break lows. So we're kind of still creating a range on the lower time frame. So you'll see now we have that high and this low. That is the current range that we're trading within at the moment, because we couldn't break either to the upside or the downside. So for all technical purposes, we're still in that range. So we'll look at that, look at that now on the lower time frames. On the 4 hour, we can see that we had this structure break over here, and then we had this, of course, this led towards the downside, and then we saw price complex correcting back towards the upside, and we reacted off of a 1 hour order block in here, and this is where we caught the GU short that I shared yesterday, I think. So have a look at that. I remember I'll put up a pop-up screen for that trade on yesterday. So now looking at what is price doing right now. So let's just look, just want to put that 1 hour order block on there. So this was the 1 hour region that I was referring to. We can see we had the reaction of it, we came back, and then we had another reaction where price did a loss, grab on liquidity, and then we had a run towards the downside. But we did not break any major structure. So this is still the major low structure over here. We didn't break it. We came close and then reacted towards the upside. But we did break this structure towards the downside over there. So we did have a structure break. It was a, let's call it a minor structure break, but it wasn't a major structure break because it wasn't a major swing point. So just backing up on the 4 hour edge, this is still the price action that we can still. So we're still in this bigger range from this high towards this low. We're still trading within this range. You can see we're not breaking or going above or below it just yet. And then we're creating smaller ranges within that bigger range. So that means that potentially beginning of next week could be more difficult, because we first need to identify the direction, and then we could potentially look for trades going in. So we don't need to see exactly that there, so we can just look at where is the current liquidity. We have this low, and we have this high up here. That is the most recent aggressive liquidity. Where is the most recent liquidity? So price will be reaching for either one of those areas. We'll either see price moving up or down, or we'll move down and then up, or up and then down. You get the idea. So and when it's a situation like this, we're not exactly sure where price is heading to. We can potentially expect price to play around a bit, consolidate, and then sweep one of those lows. So just off the right top of my head, it would be nice if we see a consolidation, a sweep, and then a continuation back towards the upside, grabbing the liquidity above this high and above this high, and then ultimately reaching for this high from our bigger zone range that we are trading within. So we need to take that into consideration. The higher time frame view. So currently I don't have a bias yet exactly where to. We can just still see that the bullish order flow is respected. We're breaking structure, coming back. So I do think that this move will sustain itself. We can then look for longs early on in the week and potentially the rest of the week until we reach for this liquidity area above there. So that would be kind of the target set out for myself beginning of the week. If we just have a look again on the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, there's no yet obvious order blocks or zones or anything. We could potentially just use this zone over here as a zone for buys It's nothing spectacular, but it's probably something of interest on lower time frames. If we, for instance, jump to the 5-minute, you can see that this was an order block over here, perhaps, and then there's always liquidity in wicks, so I'm just taking the wicks, and we have some imbalance here as well. Not really. There's no, that's not imbalance. Sorry, my mistake. Don't forget about that. But we have a region over here, so I would potentially wait to see a reaction. I wouldn't necessarily trade off this area, but just want to see a reaction and then look for longs. On the 50-minute, let's just mark out the 50-minute liquidity. Very obvious, as I've mentioned, this one over here, but we're just going to move it to the bottom of that wick. That's obviously the order block where this big move originated from, and we broke all the structure, so that is a target, definitely on the lower time frames. And then we also have this here as well, which is a target, or could be a liquidity pool as well. Here we have some great imbalance as well. So definitely I do think that we could see a move back towards the upside early on in the week. So that's kind of what I've been looking for, be looking to get in on a lower high, sorry, higher low, and then just follow the momentum back towards the upside. So that's the idea that I'm currently playing with and looking to see on GU. So that's GU. Let's see how it plays out and what happens early on in the week. Okay, back to euro dollar. So this is the 4-hour price, is just moving towards the downside. If you just look, there's nothing close. We'll have to go to the weekly, and we'll see what is on the left hand side. So currently we're gunning for these lows over here, but on the weekly we just need to identify that we have some liquidity up there, and that's it. We have this low, but that is it. To the left, probably these lows would act as a next draw on liquidity. So the weekly is a bit of a mess for me personally. I don't see anything clear on it. There's nothing clear for me in this consolidated area, so nothing there. And then on the daily, there's nothing. We could potentially see the price just kind of sweeps this low, and then it will be interesting to see next week if we start to push up and go up higher again, because we have been really trending towards the downside, and there's all of these areas in here that we could potentially be reaching for. We have the imbalances, you know, this order block over there, and again imbalance. So there's different areas where price could be reaching for if we decide to move back towards the upside. So let's presume for a moment that we could be looking for longs. Then on the 1 hour, we'll be eager to see what is price doing. So we did go below this level, and we had an impulsive reaction towards the upsides, but we can already see the price started dipping down again into that area. On the lower time frames, we could see that price broke the structure over here. So we had the structure break, and then we have this point of interest, this area over here, creating some liquidity as well. So this does look like it could be something, a dip into this area and then a push up higher. We have our liquidity marked up over there, and then obviously all the way towards the upside. So EU is getting some better framework, so we're starting to see price develop a bit better. And the reason why I'm marking out the high is because of where we are, that if we decide to move towards the upside, I don't think that these areas will hold. I do think they will just get smashed through and straining back towards the upside, because we probably in due for that retracement. So this is something that I'll be looking at early on in the week. Potentially look at a 50% tap of this area. Let's see, something like this. If we can get a tap at 50% and then a continuation up, would be a good confirmation. Then if we break this structure, looking for a pullback towards an entry point and then a continuation up. So that's very early on in the week. That's something that I could be seeing happening, but we could also just flush through and just continue down lower. Don't want that, but that's obviously realistic of what could happen. And then once we start to move back towards the upside, we can start looking for longs all the way up into these upper areas. But that's probably we'll get into in the Tuesday analysis. But this is currently what I'm looking at and seeing on EU. As you can guess, I'm not a fan. I'm a GU guy. That's my main pair, and you'll see as we go along the analysis will probably get shorter and shorter because I'm not liking the other pairs as much. Aussie dollar, for those trading Aussie dollar, we can clearly see we're just really trending towards the downside, moving down lower. We need to pay attention to what's happening on the left just to get a kind of an idea of where we could react off. We're currently seeing these lows being tapped at, and then we potentially have this low, and then we have that low over there as well. So there's some areas where price could be reacting from. So we know the price could go still lower. So we don't need to be worried exactly how far lower it will go. So now we just need to be worried about what is current price action telling us. So where is the current liquidity? So we have on the 1 hour, we have this order block over here, and we have the imbalance there as well. And then we have this previous highs there as well, which is our liquidity. More recent, if we break this structure with market open, if this will be a structure break towards the downside, then potentially we then have this candle as the order block, and we have the imbalance there as well. So depending on market open, but this could be a returning point or this one. So those are the levels that I'm currently spectating and having my eyes set on. We have some lower time frame liquidity here as well. So I do think it's probably a bit more likely to see price coming back only up into this area and then continuing lower. So keeping that in mind. So this is short term what I'm looking at on Aussie dollar until we get reaction, until we majorly break structure. So if we get a reaction, we start to really shift towards the upside, then only we'll be looking for longs. But as they say, the trend is your friend. Follow the trend and pay attention to what is happening on the high time frames, anticipating and seeing that price is still giving us bearish signals. We're not going higher. You can see we're not going above this high. We're still trending towards the downside. So everything is pointing towards bearishness still, but we'll just need to wait to see that pullback and get in on a lower high and then continuation lower, or there a lower high and then continuation lower. So that is then currently the situation on Aussie dollar. On gold, for those looking at gold, so just right off the bat, what I'm looking at is a structure break over here, and this is important to note because of where we are on gold. You can see we're relatively up high into something in this area, so now we're seeing structure breaks towards the downside, so we could potentially see a bit of a retracement on gold early on in the week. So just back on the 1 hour, we have our structure break over there, and we have a sweep of these lows but not yet a break. So we want to see if price breaks below it. On the 1 hour there's no clear order blocks, and on the 4 hour it's not super clear. Potentially this candle, we could potentially take this candle as an area and potentially look for something in this area for price to come back retracing to this area. But we also have just the imbalance there and there, and if we see price stop, we would place a tool on it and wait for price to come back into the 50%. So potentially only this area is needed to be filled to be balanced again, and then move down lower. So then this low would be liquidity. If we start moving up, this low would be liquidity, and we would potentially be targeting these lows. So guys, just a disclaimer, I'm not a guru on gold at all. I'm just basically very new to gold, so take it with a pinch of salt whatever I say with gold. So do your own analysis as well and make sure you understand what you're up against. We can just clearly see the price is stepping down, and we're seeing these lower highs forming. So we are moving down, and we have all of this empty space in here, and then it does make sense to look for a retracement and then a continuation down at least to this level. And then looking down lower, we have another area down there. We have all of this imbalance and this liquidity there and there. So I do see some cause for price to go lower, but it will all be dependent on a new lower high forming in there, and then to take that lower high and trade it then towards the downside. So that would be how I would approach gold this week. So that is it on gold. And then lastly, pound yen. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a good fan of pound yen. I know a trader she's very good at pound yen, so if she's listening, shout out to her. She knows who she is. She loves pound yen, so maybe she can give us some tips on pound yen. Anyway, I'm just marking out the areas that I'm seeing. So with this wick towards the upside, we did fill the imbalance that was over here, and then we start pushing down, but then we stepped and reacted off of this order block over here that broke structure over there as marked. So for me personally, I think we are now in this range. So 24. So we have there. So we're in this range of this low and this low. This is the range that we're currently trading within. So same as with GU, we'll need to see where we're going. We're going down or going up, or we're just consolidating. But these are the 4-hour areas where I would want to base a trade off of. It would be nice if we sweep down into this, tap the 50% and then react towards the upside. Tap this, give a quick reaction, then continue towards the upside and then target these highs. So that's kind of what I would like to see from a movement point of view and development. But obviously we'll need to see what is going to happen and where the price is willing to trade to. So that is then it for this week's analysis on the 1 hour. That was all in the daily. So 1 hour areas, let's have a look. We have this area is very clean and clear, definitely an area to be looking out for. Reacting off of this area, it seems to me, swept it, and then we're reacting off of these wicks, looks like it. So potentially as well, we could be looking for some longs back up into this area, so potentially move down and then up again into this area, filling all of this imbalance that we have over here. So looking for that new higher low and then move back up towards the upside. So that's the view on GJ as well. As you can see, I'm not that crazy about it, so it's a bit more rushed, as I only trade mostly GU, so that's where my main focus is, and that's where I study most as well. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and then I'll see you in the week. Bye.